What type of Russia will emerge after Ukraine? Difficult to say, since we're very much immersed in the conflict still. One thing that can help us think about Russia's future is watching closely three critical uncertainties, that is, driving forces for which a range of plausible future trajectories exists. First, the resilience of Putin's popularity. According to Russian sociologists, a shift of public opinion is underway, following the pseudo-referendums, the annexation of Ukrainian territories, and especially mobilization in Russia itself. Now that the war directly affects hundreds of thousands of Russians, the prior consensus among people who once supported the war has fractured. New polling data suggests that the public is shocked by mobilization, but it hasn't yet worked out whom to blame. In other words, direct threat to Putin's popularity and image is not yet immediately visible. At the same time, despite the recent deterioration of the situation on the front line, we see a radicalization of political elites in Russia, but not their fragmentation. The party of war seems to be getting the upper hand. But intra-elites competition is not leading to a revolt against the president. According to the political scientist Vladimir Putin, there is no reason to expect a split among the Russian elites in the foreseeable future, as the same barriers to collective action facing the population also apply to the elites. That doesn't mean that the situation won't change in the future. The evolution of the war that Putin wanted so badly will also determine the solidity of his regime, because his popularity is based on the image of a competent, assertive, and relatively effective leader. A failure in Ukraine would definitely undermine it. Second, the resilience of Russian economy. Many people question if Western sanctions are working. Russia's ability to fund the war has been helped by high oil and gas prices. Its crude oil revenues rose 41% over the past year, and oil sales make 40% of Russia's total exports. However, sanctions are weakening Russia in other ways, especially by blocking its access to high-tech components needed by many economic sectors, including the military. Plus, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the OECD painted a very grim picture of the Russian economy. In 2022, Russia's GDP is expected to drop by at least 5.5% in the best scenario to almost 9% in the worst scenario. Furthermore, there is a huge brain drain. Educated middle-class Russians have left or are likely to leave because of political repression, war, and Western sanctions. They've been living for years, and their exodus will likely hurt the Russian economy. For example, around 1 in 8 Russian Jews has made aliyah or emigrated to Israel. Economists say that while the economy hasn't collapsed, in the future Russia may resemble Iran, whose economy has been crippled by sanctions. Third, and last, the behavior of relevant actors. Seen from Europe, we tend to think Russia has become a pariah state. And indeed, the UN vote on 12 October seemed to testify to Russia's isolation. With 143 votes in favor, only 5 against, the General Assembly adopted a resolution condemning Russia's annexation of 4 eastern Ukrainian regions. Yet 35 countries abstained from the vote, including Russia's strategic partner China and other BRICS members, India and South Africa, while the rest did not vote. Several emerging powers tend to have a more pragmatic, some say cynical, approach to the war, refusing to interrupt political and economic ties with Russia. But how sustainable would this neutral stance be, especially in case of a nuclear escalation?